Hello guys, Sue Jerry speaking. Welcome to Bedtime Stories, episode number 105, and today I read you Arthur's Really Helpful Bedtime Stories by Mark Brown. And look at Arthur read his own copy of the book. So let's just read it now. Shall we? So we got Arthur's Really Helpful Bedtime Stories by Mark Brown. Now, I'm currently borrowing it for 1 hour. Here we go. Arthur's Really Helpful Bedtime Stories by Mark Brown. I'm going to just go ahead and turn the page and see what's going on. Anyway. Wow. It's kind of like fairy tales difference. Table of contents. Chapters 1 is, okay, fairy tale like. Okay, that makes more sense. Little Red Riding Hood. Buzz and the Beanstalk. Emma's New Clothes, DW and the Three Bears, wow. Tortoise and the Hare, if you watch this video, it's for you. Anyway, Prince and the Pea, Three Little Pigs, okay? Frog Prince, Lies in the Mouse, and Puss in Boots, okay? Now, I'm gonna read all of these for you guys. Now, this is gonna be easy for you guys. I'm gonna go ahead and just read all of that by, let's say, all this today, and then we'll wrap things up. Anyway. Red Riding Hood. Okay, this is gonna be a long tale, but I'll save this book for tomorrow, but that's just me. There was a little girl whose favorite color was red. She liked red skirts, red shoes, and even red... Okay, that's gross. But most of all, she liked her red cape with a hood. Okay? When she wore every chance that she got. Are you tired of red yet? Her mother asked each morning. Oh, do I? Okay. No, said DW. For that was a little girl's name. Once I decide to, I like this something, I like it forever. Now, it was true enough. Anyway, one day her father, very good cook, made some good food for DW, and took her for her grandmother. Okay, Grandma 4 always enjoyed my home baked bread. Okay, he said, and I made some raspberry jam as well. So DW went up to her grandmother's house. Okay, which was over the river and through the woods. Okay. Along the way, she made a wolf. I'm going to read half of it in this episode. I'm just going to do this part 1. But anyway. Good morning, said the wolf. Yeah, this will be the big bad wolf in this episode. But anyway. Hello, said DW. It's just scary to think that DW is going to do something. Anyway. The wolf licked his lips. Where are you going on such a fine day? He asked. To my grandmother's house, said DW. Can you please be more careful? You're drawing my cape. I have to agree with DW, Little Red Riding Hood. Do something. Anyway. Now the wolf was very hungry. He wanted to eat DW up. No way. Anyway. Cave and all, right then and there, they decided to be a little more patient and perhaps be awarded for 2 delicious meals instead of just 1. Ew. Anyway. Where does your grandmother live? He asked. In a very neat house over the river and through the woods, said DW. It has to be knowing, I'm not going to say the H word, but that he should know, that the wolf may ask her to do such a thing. Jeez. I always have to wipe my feet before I go inside. I'll keep in mind that, said the wolf, darting up the deep dark woods. When DW got to Grandma 4's house, she saw big muddy paw prints on the doormat. That's funny, she said to herself as she wiped both her feet before going inside. Hi, Grandma 4, she called out. It's me, DW, where are you? Now, and it quotes, see here in this picture. Anyway. I'm here. It's in here, my dear, said a strange, deep voice from the bedroom. Strange enough. Next page. Anyway. Now, DW stepped in the kitchen for a moment, then skipped into the bedroom. Then she saw the figure in my bedroom, grandmother's bed. The figure was wearing Grandma Four's nightgown and cap. Wolf, you just don't need to do that. That's stealing. Anyway, I thought I have brought you some good things to eat. Oh, God. Anywho, what? So the figure. So DW came closer and said, "Oh, Grandma Four," she said. "I never noticed you before what big ears you have. The better you look, how you're with, my dear." Jesus. DW looked again. "Oh, Grandma Four," she said. "What big eyes you have." Jeez. "The better you look with, my dear." Yeah, here we go again with this shenanigans. There. DW came up next to the bed. "Oh, Grandma Four," she said. "What big teeth you had." "And I'm not sure you were big brushing regularly. I have to agree with DW. Jeez. The better you eat you with, my dear," cried the wolf, falling back the blanket. Jesus. But the wolf was not used to wearing a nightgown. No. As he leapt out of the bed, the nightgown caught on the bed spot post. The wolf driven and fought hard to the floor. Crash. Then DW pulled out the big iron frying pan. "I have to agree with DW. Do something!" She had picked it up in Grandma's kitchen and handed her in the hood. Bunk. She knocked the wolf out with it. "Figure reminded to wipe your feet," she said to the wolf, even though he couldn't hear her. "DW, is that you?" coming in the muffin voice in the closet. "Yes, it is," said DW. She unlocked the closet door. She found her grandmother safe and sound, and they're happy to see DW. "Oh my," said Grandma Four, looking around. I see you've been busy. Great, thank God the wolf didn't have time to eat me before you arrived. Why don't we get fetch up the hunter who lives next door? He'll take care of the wolf for us." "I have to agree, yeah." Once the hunter has come from gone, DW and her grandmother sat down for lunch. I have to agree 100%. Anyway, "You look very good as red," said Grandma Four. "Thank you," said DW. "My Red Riding Hood came in very handy today." And she wore her Red Riding Hood for many days after that. I'm going to do some Busting the Beanstalk, and then I'll just wrap up this episode. I'm getting tired right now. Let's see, how many chapters we're on? I'm in Busting the Beanstalk right now. Now, we're going to wrap up with just at least, I'm going to do 4 more stories, and then I will have to decide whether or not I can wrap up or not. I don't know. But we'll see what happens. But we'll see. Right now, we just got done with Red Riding Hood. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, Busting the Beanstalk. Anyway. In an old cottage outside of town lived a poor boy named Buster and his mother. Wow. Buster always meant to do what his mother told him. But sometimes he forgot. Anyway, forgot anyway. It was hard to milk the cow on the perfect day for fishing. It was hard to rake up the hay, when jumping in was so much more fun. Things in the family went to the bad from what to worse. Until one day, Buster's mother told him they must sell the cow. She started to give less milk. His mother explained, we need to sell her for while she's still worth something. So the next morning, Buster and the cow started on their way to the market. Okay. It was a sunny day, just right for chasing butterflies, and Buster was sorry he would have a job to do. Good morning, Buster, said the old man by his side in the road. Buster was surprised. How do you know my name? He asked. Just you like a Buster, smart. I can't pronounce this word, sorry. Buster was pleased. Where you are going? Where are you going, the man asked. To market, said Buster. I have to sell our cow. Wow. What a pity having to go to all that way on such a fine day for chasing butterflies. Buster nodded. What if I save you the trouble? Said the old man. Will you trade your cow for these 5 beans? He held out his hand. Buster just laughed. I want to trade our cow for some silly beans. I'm smart, you remember? Wow. But these beans are very special. They're magic beans. Well, it kind of reminds me of Jack and the Beanstalk difference. But anyway. But Bottom's supply was over. Magic beans were surely worth a lot. And the butterflies were just waiting to be chased. Okay. While Buster got home, his mother was surprised to see him. Wow. Back so soon, she said. You must have gotten a good price. Buster held out his hand. Even better, he said. I got these 5 magic beans. Beans? You sold a cow for magic beans? His mother shouted. We need money, not beans. Well, in the old days, I'm not sure what year it was in the time, but let me check what year this came out. No, Jack and the Beanstalk came out in the year 18. I don't know what year this came out. Anyway. It came out in 1807. I don't know who found it. It was named by a ghostman named the late Benjamin Tarbart. Now, English publisher and bookseller. Now, he is from London, okay? And it was made for children's literature. His fairy tales are lighthearted, nursery stories, and chapbook tales. Now, what you said about money is false, Mrs. Baxter. Okay? So, get your facts straight. Anyway, she angrily threw them out in the window and sent the Buster to his room. Nope. You don't need to punish him. To punish him right now, you need to punish your own self right now. Okay? Next page. Anyway. The next morning, when Buster woke up, he looked outside and saw a beanstalk growing through toward the sky. There was a human being giant? Okay, we're gonna go with that in the next page. Anyway, I wonder where it goes, said Buster. He went out to start climbing. By the time he got to the top, the beanstalk had poked through the clouds. Buster looked around. He couldn't see a cloud castle in the distance. Excuse me, I spoke anyway. As he got closer, he couldn't see was a giant's castle. Kind of reminds me of the Mickey and the Beanstalk, and so many blanks in the Beanstalk shows, stories. But anyway, when he arrived there, Buster found that he couldn't reach the doorknob, but he was able to slide under the door. Hello? Buster called out. Anybody home? No one answered. So somebody through the room began to shake. Buster normally hid beyond the room in the corner. The shaking got louder and louder. The door burst open. Kind of reminds me of the story of the big comfy couch difference. Oh, sorry, food's in the way. My throat's killing me. But anyway, sorry about that. But anyway, what I was saying. Anyway, but that's just me. Anyway, and the giant came in, clomp, clomp, clomp. Anyway, as he stomped, as he climbed around, quickly sniffing the air. Fee, fi, fo, fum. As I come up this path, I smell someone who's neath the bath. Okay. All this makes sense to me, but okay. And why Goose? Where's the harp? Anyway. Buster bit his lip, okay? And he had been meaning to wash up. He would haven't gone around to it, okay? The giant may have found him as he has searched, but he was distracted by a faraway noise. Well, he went over by a small bird cage. Okay, where's the harp? Suddenly, where's that? Anyway, it appeared they got Goose inside, okay? Buster was surprised. Why was the giant keeping an ordinary goose around? Buster wondered. It was better to make a snack for him. He must be an awfully mean giant to keep this poor bird all cooped up in a small cage. The giant lifted the cage to the table. Lay, he ordered the goose. The next moment, the goose laid an egg, which is a good enough thing, but Buster could see immediately that it was no ordinary egg. This is egg made out of solid gold. According to this fairy tale, folks, sorry, you hear a beep in the background. Anyway, you heard that it was a gold harp. Making the Beanstalk. Now, where's that? Anyway, the guitar, the giant operated is greedily for a moment when he yawned mightily, and laid his head on the table to take a short nap. Snoring soon, then it followed the room like thunder. Buster took a deep breath. Now's your chance. He thought, your chance to be squashing like a bug. Kind of reminds me of how much you could say, bzzz, that's just me. Anyway, his thoughts replied, well, I can say just stay here forever, as long as I'm leaving, I might as well make the most of it. Yeah, okay. There was no answer to that, so Buster climbed out the table and opened the cage and took out the goose. I have agreed, yeah. The goose started honking and flapping his wings. Quiet, said Buster whimpered. I'm trying to rescue you. Thank you. Do so well, please. Anyway. Next page. Anyway. Okay. Luckily, the giant couldn't hear anything until over the sound of his snoring. The goose went right on honking, but Buster hit her tightly and ran for his life. Just as he reached the Beanstalk, he overwrought his castle. Who stole my goose? Buster started climbing. Yeah, it's not a goose, it's a harp. Anyway, Buster started climbing down the Beanstalk in a hurry, considering the giant instance and the smell. Buster knew they had a match of a hard head start. When he reached the ground, he shouted at Asher's mother. Hold the goose and move back. They ran the giant axe, okay? The Beanstalk was already shaking a real firm weight of the giant height above as as fast as he could, Buster swung the axe. Chop, chop, chop. When the last cut, Buster jumped back. The full beanstalk came crashing down, and the giant with it, okay? When the dust cleared, there was a huge pit in the ground. Well, said Buster, dust on his hands. I guess I wasn't the only one, squashed like a bug after all. I have to agree, yeah. With gold eggs to sell, Buster and his mother were able to build a big new house. Okay. Start living in style, yeah. Best of all, there was plenty of time for Buster to chase all the butterflies he could. Fine. Well, that makes more sense. Anyway, yeah, it's like an old, not like an old cottage, but very more different than building a new house. But anyway, next page in the next story. Anyway, Emperor's new clothes. Anyway, long ago, there was an emperor who loved to wear beautiful clothes. Anyway, and this do not disturb, because I was getting ready to go to bed after these 3 stories. Anyway, he wore a different outfit to every meal and rarely wore the same train twice, okay? One day, 2 visitors came to the emperor's palace, okay? They told everyone they were weavers, okay? They weave the best cloth, said one called the braid. Pure fiber, organically grown, okay? Our cloth is so fine, said the other, whose name is Arthur, okay? That is the foolish people. When the emperor heard this, he invited the 2 weavers, okay, to make them save some clothes, okay? The weavers agreed, but we need a nice place to work, said Arthur. Okay. No distractions like pesky little sisters and plenty of snacks. We must also had gold thread as a finely silk, okay, said the braid. Misspoke. Anyway, one design would depend on it, okay? Yes, said the emperor. Whatever you want. He gave the weavers a large room with a view of the garden. Now, every day, when anyone came by, they sat before the room, okay, pretending to weave. They rested the time they ate and slept, and played games, okay, and they soaked up for golden thread, okay. They hid them under the bed. After a week, the curious emperor sent his prime minister to see them, okay. Our work is going very well, the weavers told her, okay. Come and see for yourself, they pointed to the room. Wow, it just saddens me. Anyway, the prime minister opened her eyes wide, okay. She rubbed them twice, it didn't help. She thought it was no call. Oh, jeez. Yeah, I have to agree with what happened, you know. Does that mean I'm foolish? She thought to herself, oh, terrible. Nobody must find out. You like the color? Asked Arthur. Dramatic, are they? Said the brain. The prime minister sighed. I never seen anything like them. And she admitted and told the emperor the same thing. I have to agree with the prime minister and emperor. You gotta do something. Anyway. When another week had passed, the curious emperor sent the royal chamberlain, for a peek. Come in, the weavers told him. Okay? Take a good look. Okay? The royal champion stared, like a prime minister he could see a thing. I have agreed. Am I so foolish, he thought? Oh dear, no one must find out. So what do you think? Asked Arthur. Pretty amazing, huh? Oh my, said the World Champion. Misspoke anyway. It's hard to put into words, but I'm currently glad that everything's going so well. And that's what he told the Emperor. Man, it's a lot of reading, so yeah. Next page, anyway. And I'm gonna read what? The Emperor's in underwear? Seriously? Okay. Okay, that is no way you can be on underwear. Anyway, after the third week has passed, the Emperor himself came to see the cloth. No, I'm not going to see him in underwear. No. He was assured by both the Prime Minister and the Lord Chamberlain, okay? You arrive at the crucial moment, said the brain. As you will see, the part is very tricky, okay? Yeah, okay, that didn't make no sense. Why did you have to be... I am so sorry, folks. You have to see... please ignore that. There might be a siren going on in my background. Just please ignore that. Anyway, I think what you have done with the Emperor is just... He's wearing no clothes except for the underwear. Why? Anyway, as our guests watch, the weavers continue doing their work, okay? First they pretend to take the cloth off the loom. No, please don't. Anyway, they pretend to cut it into pieces. No way. Finally, they pretend to see the pieces together. Again, no. The Emperor coughed and hid confusion. You can see no cloth at all. Oh, jeez. Is there anything wrong, Your Majesty? Asked the brain. No, said the Emperor. Your work summary must take my breath away. Thank you! Anyway, I could be happier. He paused. Thanks to the parade, there will be a parade tomorrow. Will the clothes be ready by then? We'll do our best, Arbor said. Oh, man. Keep the sacks coming. Excuse me, anyway. The next morning, the Emperor arrived to be dressed. Not funny, jeez. The weavers left their arms, and as well as clothing were draped over them. Anyway, Arbor held one arm, and out of him, there are royal pads. For some reason, I call it underwear, but whatever, he said. The brain held out both arms, and this is a royal robe. Said the Emperor. The cloth is very light. The brain went on. You almost feel like as though you were wearing nothing at all. The brain, I just think that he needs to wear something to the parade. Jeez. Anyway, the weavers pretended to lift each piece of clothing and place it on the Emperor. No, don't do it. Anyway, when they were done, they were stirred back and clapped their hands. What style? Cried Arthur. What grace? Agreed the brave. What a surprise, said the Emperor. He looked hard in the mirror and sighed. The Emperor led the parade up and down the city streets, and all the commission. Nobody noticed the two weavers leaving by the back gate with a stack filled with royal snacks. Yeah, okay, makes no sense to me, but whatever. Everyone knew the story of the Emperor's new clothes and how only foolish people could see them. I have to agree, yeah. So I spoke up quickly, excuse me, misspoke anyway. Did you ever see such a robe? What colors? The Emperor never looked better. One little girl thought was not so impressed. Yeah, I have to agree, yeah. She looked at the Emperor and laughed. That was DW, by the way, and it was not funny. Man. But he doesn't have anything on. No. Yeah, I have to agree, yeah. She cried. No way. Don't stop laughing at him. Jeez. As her spell has been broken, the crowd began to laugh as well. She's right, isn't she? He's wearing a thing, and he has nothing on at all. Well, just the underwear, shoes, and the crown, and then some, I don't know what it is, but anyway. He never bit his lip and blushed down at his toes. He knew what they were right, but they were going to admit. He kept his head high as the laughter followed him all the way through the town and back to the palace. Thank you. Next page. Anyway, the W and the Three Bears. Now, I'm gonna do one more story after this, and I am done because really it's been 30 minutes since I'm taping this bedtime story episode, and I want to just read it to you guys. But anyway, there's once a little girl named DW who often did the opposite of what she was told. When her mother explained that she had been gentle with some toys, she played roughly with them until they broke. It's her father said in a fresh batch of cookies. Anyway, when it's too hot to eat, she always took a bite anyway. Yeah, it's kind of like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. Hello? But anyway, and when she took a when her big brother warned her about reading scary stories in the bedtime, DW would read the scariest stories she ever could find, even though they gave her bad dreams. One day, DW went out to walk in the woods. Her mother told her not to go far. So naturally, DW wanted farther than she ever gone to before. And I have to agree, because DW was Goldilocks. Anyway, she came upon a little cottage where the door was open. Yeah. Okay. A delicious smell was coming from inside. Anyway, now DW has been told many times not to go into strange houses. I have to agree, yeah. So of course, there was the first thing she did. Inside she found 3 bowls of oatmeal coated on the table. She tasted the biggest bowl, but it was too hot. And she took a taste in the medium-sized bowl, but it was too cold. But she took a taste in the smallest bowl, just right. She decided to gobble all up. Anyway. But she went to the living room where she saw 3 chairs. The biggest chair was solid for her. The medium-sized chair was too soft. The smallest one, though, looked just right. When DW sat in it, the chair broke into pieces. That sure didn't make things right. Like they used to do, said DW as she picked herself off the floor. Anyway, upstairs she went. DW found 3 beds in a row. No jump on the bed, DW. Please. She bounced in the first bed. Yeah. Where's the lying down on the bed part? Jeez. She bounced in the first bed too hard. She thought she bounced in the second. It was softer, but not quite right. The third bed, though, was perfect. In fact, she bounced it into a wall. She got very tired. Thank you. Snuggled under the blanket, DW fell fast asleep. Oh, man. And, oh, boy. Anywho. That's where, while DW was sleeping, the family with the 3 bears returned to their cottage. They noticed once they all were not well. Okay, I have to agree with that. Anyway, someone's been eating my oatmeal. It's porridge. Hello, okay. Why? According to most of Goldilocks and Three Bears stores, it's porridge. But okay, but oatmeal? That's Bert's idea. Anyway, someone's been eating my oatmeal, said the big Papa Bear. Oh man, Papa Bear. Okay, Papa Bear kind of reminds me of Papa Bear, but big Papa Bear. Kind of reminds me of Papa Bear. But anyway, okay. Someone's been eating my oatmeal as well, said the middle-sized Mama Bear. Mama Bear can be... Mama So's my favorite. Kind of reminds me of Mama Bear. But anyway. Someone's been eating my oatmeal. It said little baby bear. Well, baby bear, okay. Makes sense there. And they eating it all up. The three bears went to in their living rooms. And I think someone's been sitting in my baby chair, said Papa Bear. Someone's been sitting in my chair as well, said Mama Bear. Someone's been sitting in my little chair, said Baby Bear. And now it's broken all apart. Oh man. The bears was not happy about this. They march upstairs and see what else may be wrong. Clomp, clomp, clomp. Someone's been sleeping. It was bounced all away. They're just jumping up and down. No, she's not sleeping. She's jumping up and jumping in the bed. She's bouncing. Anyway, someone's been sleeping in my bed. Roared Papa Bear. Someone's been sleeping in my bed as well. Growled Mama Bear. Someone's been sleeping in my bed. Gasped Baby Bear, and she's still in there. Look at her. The three angry bears stood by Baby Bear's bed. They growled down at DW. Just then, she opened her eyes. Oh my, she cried. I'm in big trouble. Anyway, she ripped up, bouncing past the bears. Anyway. From one bed to the next, she ran down the stairs and out the front door. Three bears never saw the girl again. DW, that is. Anyway, they didn't mess with her one bit. And DW herself, she got home safely before dark. Thank you. The very next day, she began doing what she'd been told, except that she refused to ever eat oatmeal again. It was porridge. Hello? Anyway, no, it's porridge on the Goldilocks and Three Bears. Anyway, next page, and we'll wrap up this whole, let's say, book, per se. I'm going to wrap up this whole, wrapping things up with Tortoise and the Hare, and I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next, time, and maybe the last 5 chapters in the book, and we'll have to finish up the last 5 chapters in the next episode. But anyway, Tortoise and the Hare. There was once a tortoise and a hare. Now, Buster is a hare. But anyway, and this one's a tortoise. But anyway, who live near each other, but didn't speak very often. Anyway, excuse me. The reason they didn't speak was that the hare was always in a hurry. Now, that was Buster's idea, but anyway. Hello, the hare was saying that happened to me on the road. Buster's my name and run my game. Okay? Good morning, said the tortoise. Can't talk right now, Buster will say. Got place to go and things to do. And proved at this point, he would then disappear in a flash. And it was such meme, though the tortoise and finally put is in a few words. You really need to slow down, he declared. Okay? All this rushing about him isn't good for you. Yes, it is, Tortoise. But anyway, can you name any of the flowers that you can see on this road every day? Have you ever stopped to smell them? No, you're too much in a hurry. Buster took a moment to laugh in his tortoise's face. If he was off again, even faster than before. The next time the path crosses, the tortoise added something else. Okay? Fast is not always better, he said. But the first time, Buster came in a screeching halt. Wait, what did you say? The tortoise repeated his words. Oh, really? Said Buster. We'll talk is cheap. Let's have a race to prove it. If I win, I'll train you to the world-class runner. If I win, said the tortoise, we'll have a long, slow breakfast together every day. and I'll teach you about the flowers. Done, said Buster. The race was set for the following day. You can start us, Buster said, jogging in place. The tortoise nodded. Ready, set, go. Boom! Before the tortoise even blinked, Buster was already 10 yards down the road, okay? So the tortoise was not discouraged. Even Abe ambled himself in his own little place, okay? Soon Buster was so far ahead of this he could even see the tortoise, okay? No point in hurrying, Buster said. Then he yawned, and he had to admit that he was always rushing and was a little tiring. In fact, he decided I might have as well sit down and take a rest. He found this comfortable spot in the shade, and it was so comfortable. In fact, he fell fast asleep. He was snoring loudly, and when the tortoise passed him, he was still dreaming when the tortoise crossed the finish line. Unfair, Buster protested when he finally woke. I don't see why, said the tortoise. Buster didn't really eat either, okay? And so he kept his word mean to tortoise every day for breakfast. Before a month was up, the two of them had become best friends. Good friends, excuse me, I spoke anyway. Just important, Buster had just finally stopped to smell the flowers. And even though that some of them made him sneeze, I had to thank him for it. Anyway, I have to agree about it. Anyway, he was too polite to mention it. Now, next episode, we're going to read you final 5 chapters in the next page. Prisoner P and so many others. I'm not going to read page 28 and others in this one. I'm going to return this now because that'll be it for this one. So, yeah, because I am done with this book for the whole day. I'm going to think it's an amazing book, you know. Arthur's Really Helpful Bedtime Stories by Mark Brown. We're doing this. We're doing part 1 in this book, but I'm gonna read we're doing part 2 tomorrow. But so yeah, that was the Bedtime Stories episode number 105. Hope you enjoy it. Stay tuned for the next one. It's gonna be part 2 of Arthur's Really Helpful Bedtime Stories by Mark Brown. This will be the final part of the book, and we're going to read you another book of Arthur's books, but that's just me. Till next time, this is Joseph. Bye, peace out, baby. We got more bedtime stories. You guys be soon. Till then, out. See ya.